Now what will it be? Death or exile?
Hey guys, Paul here, recording my quick spoiler-free review of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Just got out of the opening night showing, and let me say, I love this movie. I heard it's getting some mixed reviews going in, and I went in, like we said in our preview, cautiously optimistic with I guess an intent to be forgiving, and this movie blew me away. I absolutely loved it. For me, this brought the Star Wars magic back. From 5 minutes in, I loved this movie, and I just spent the next 30 minutes waiting for them to drop the ball, hoping they wouldn't, and they didn't. As I say, I loved it. This was great. There was a few moments that had me tearing up. A few things I can't wait to discuss when we talk about it in our spoiler review, and I'm really looking forward to going back and talking about some of the questions we asked in our speculative preview, which if any of our listeners haven't heard that yet, go back and listen to that one. It's a long one, but there's timestamps if you want to skip parts or skip to the parts that you're most interested in. I think that's going to be an interesting discussion. There's definitely lots to talk about here. It did feel like they crammed two movies into one. It felt like the movie was playing at 1.5 times speed. I don't know if you guys ever listen to your podcasts at 1.5 times speed, but this almost felt like the cinematic equivalent of that. They had to get through so much, and they did it so quickly. But I loved it. This was pure Star Wars, fast-paced adventure. If there were slow character moments in this, there's probably one or two. They might have lasted a minute each. They did not waste time. They just kept it coming with the action. There were some surprises in this. At times it felt like you could feel them checking off the boxes a little bit in terms of what fans had asked for, but I didn't mind that. These are the things that I wanted to see. And when you consider the position they were put in after Episode 8, with how a lot of those storylines from Episode 7 were severed, I think this movie did the best job it could have to pick those pieces back up and not only tie up the sequel trilogy in a bow, but also the entire 9-episode Skywalker arc the best it could. I thought this movie was tremendously satisfying. If you're a hater, if you went in wanting to hate this, if you want to find things to pick apart, well, yeah, of course you can. It's a Star Wars movie, and there's a lot of fan service in this. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing in this case. If I, as a fan, were writing this movie, I would have done some of the same things. Some things I would have definitely done differently. But my biggest concern going in was the cringe factor. There was a couple of cringy moments, but overall, even the cringy stuff felt like Star Wars. It didn't feel like Spaceballs. It felt like the kind of cringe I accepted in the original trilogy. And where things weren't explained well enough, perhaps, that also felt like the original trilogy. So I would say that if you're going to nitpick this movie, then go back and nitpick the original trilogy as well. I think this movie was fantastic. I think this was a triumph given the situation they were put in. Definitely it's theme park filmmaking, definitely it's fan service, but if those two things can be cinema, then for me this was cinema. This movie made me feel something. This movie pulled me into the magic and made me feel like a kid again, as cliche as that sounds. I've been so disappointed with so many movies over the past few years, starting with the heartbreak of Justice League. It just has felt like there's been disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. And for once, I did not feel disappointed by this. I love this. This was movie magic for me. I can't praise it enough, and I can't wait to go see it again. I'm taking my family on Sunday. We're going to go see it in IMAX, and I can't wait to share this one with my daughter. So, I know some people are complaining about this movie, but I avoided the leaks going in. I went in with as objective a state of mind, as open, I guess, a state of mind as I possibly could. And if you guys can do that as well, I recommend it. I think you'll love it. And as I say, I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I did. Can't wait to talk about it more.